Sanhedrin Daf Ayin He Amud Aleph, new parak, new Mishnah, Benon Srafin Tefam Tuachayav Sekila. Habal Isha Ubita, a person is with a woman and her daughter. Doesn't say wife. We're going to learn a lot from that. Ubat Kohen Zizinta, or the married daughter of a Kohen who commits adultery. Yesh Brechal Isha Ubita. The following thing is included in the same Isur of a woman and a daughter is the following. Bito, Ubat Bina. His daughter, his granddaughter through his daughter, and his granddaughter through his son. Ubat Ishto, Ubat Bita, Ubat Binha. His wife's daughter, his daughter's daughter, her daughter's daughter, and her son's daughter. Hamotova Im Hamotova Im Hamir. His mother-in-law's mother, and his father-in-law's mother. Okay. Habal Isha Shinasa Bita Loktaner. It doesn't say, Mishnah did not mention, like we said, that you didn't, a person who's with a woman and a wife and sorry, a woman and her and is married. He married a woman and her mother, yani a woman and her daughter that he married. Ella Habal Isha Bita, just as regular, plainly. A woman and a daughter. Michadar Tervail Israel sounds like they're both women and asur to him. Umani who what can be a possible case where both a woman and her daughter are asur? Hamatot Im Hamatot, in one case his mother-in-law and his mother-in-law's mother. And it teaches you there's chayav zerifa for either of them. V'tani yesh bechal isha bitar. And included in those isurim are the following things which mentions other cases. The Gemara says, "Michal tevay k'tiv behei." Sounds like the zerifa for this too, the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother, is written in the Torah. Because we're learning from those to other halachot. The Gemara says, "V'hanach min drasha," and the other ones are learned from a drasha. Hani chavei makes sense according to the way B'damar mashma'ot dorshin ikabanau. He says that there's a machlokes in elsewhere that where are you? How do you explain pesukim? How do you doresh pesukim? And in the pasuk says et hen in the pasuk them. So Rabbi Akiva says that means that's referring to the mother-in-law and her mother. Rabbi says no, et hen just means to the wife and the mother-in-law, not as the grandmother-in-law included. Whereas according to Abaye, who's our Mishnah? According to Rabbi Akiva, he goes according to Rabbi Akiva that the Torah is referring to the mother-in-law and the mother-in-law's mother. That's who gets the refa for. And according to Rava, he holds that the difference between Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva is, do you give serefa regarding to his mother-in-law if someone's with his mother-in-law after his wife passed away? If she's no longer your bona fide, she's not your full mother-in-law anymore. According to him, who's the Mishnah, it can't be Rabbi Shimon or Rabbi Akiva. The Gemara says, our Mishnah is in a case where you're with a woman, who your daughter, you married, Mishnah then included Yesh Bechal Isha Bita, included in the woman and her daughter is the mother-in-law, his mother-in-law's mother, and his father-in-law's mother. According to this Mishnah wanted to mention the father-in-law's mother, it also threw in the mother-in-law and her mother. So all three are part of that same set. According to Rava, I did the once the Mishnah wanted to mention the father-in-law's mother and his mother and his mother-in-law's mother, therefore I threw in his mother-in-law as well. Okay. I don't know that all these Isurim are asur. The other cases, the Mishnah that we brought down, then Rabbanan says, Ish, Asher Yikach et Isha et Imma. Person who's with his a man is with his mother and a woman and her mother. And Yalisha Vima. I only know that's asur for you get serefa for a woman and her mother. Yani, if you're marrying a woman and then marry with your mother-in-law. Bat Isha, Bat Bita, Bat Bin Abinai, how you know that you can't be with the woman's daughter, her granddaughters. The American Zima, Ben Amalan Zima with Xer Shava with the word Zima. Malan Bita, Ubat Bita, Bat, just like over there, it refers to someone's with your wife. It's a sword to have relations with your wife's daughter, your wife's daughter's daughter, your son's daughter. Also says it clearly. Afkan Bita, Ubat Bita, Ubat Bin over here. Regarding to where it says that you get serefa for it, it includes those cases. Wife's daughter or the granddaughter through son and daughter. Where it says, we're going to mention a couple of phrases that we're going to explain later. How do we know that we make the males like the females? We say the word zima there and there. Like females over here like males like females. We're going to explain what that means soon. Also this. How do you know that they make the below like the above? How do we know that make the below like what's above? American Zima ben Emma Zima the same Zira Shalom Zima Talama Afkan Matalam just like over there is below is like what above, so it's over here below is like above. Umarkan Malamata Aflan Malamata just like over there, above is like below, so it's over here, above is like below. So now you're thoroughly confused, it makes sense. Amar more. We're now going to explain everything. Minayin lasod zecharim keneged. How do we know that the males are like the same halacha as the females? My zecharim keneged. What does that even mean? Males like females. Ilim, if you want to tell me that the Brayta is referring to bat bena kibat bita, that the wife's son's daughter is the same halacha as the wife's daughter's daughter. Bahade hade ka'atan. We don't need to teach me that because uh, it's saying we learned it from the same Gzera Shava. You don't need to separately move for that. Maybe you want to say the Brayta is referring to your father-in-law's mother is equal to the mother-in-law's mother. So if that doesn't make sense, because if we didn't mention that it's a sort to be with your father, your mother-in-law's mother, where else would you learn the father-in-law's mother? Yani, we already know that mother-in-law's mother is a sur serefa. So if we don't know that, then how would you know father-in-law's mother in the first place? So my brother, therefore, the better means as follows. What do you mean males like females? How do we know that the relatives that come from him, the husband, is equal to the relatives that come from her? Therefore, we have Gzera Shava that equates it. The Gemara says, but when it says zima, it doesn't mention it by his relatives. The Gemara says, it's a double-sided Gzera Shava. Atya henna henna, atya zima zima. First, you get the Gzera Shava henna henna, to equate the female to the husband to the wife, and then we back end it on as well to include his relatives to her relatives. Okay, Amar more. What do you mean from below to above? We mentioned that in the Braita. What does that mean? What does that mean? If you want to tell me that the right is referring to the wife's son's daughter or the wife's daughter's daughter, is like the same case, same halacha as the daughter of the wife, then we already know that from the same Zerah Shabbat, the same limud. We created all three already. But maybe you want to tell me that the right is referring to the father-in-law's mother and the mother-in-law's mother is like the case same as the mother-in-law herself. Mara says, Hi lamata kilamala. That's not making the below like the above. That's lamala kamata. You're making the above like below. It's a higher generation. You're going from the above, the grandmother-in-law, equating to the mother-in-law. That's above the level. The Gemara says, okay, okay, no problem. Change the lashon of the Mishnah or the Braita. Change the lashon to say that it's equal from above to below. Gemara says, Yachi, that's the case. Nemer kan zima v'nemer zima ma hashta innu loktivi. We have exertion from the word zima, but in the case of the pasuk, never mentions the grandmother-in-law at all. Zima deduktivi. Where would you put the connection to the word zima to equate them? The Gemara says, Amar Abaye, Hachi Kamar. Verse says as follows: Minayin la'asot shloshat derot l'mala k'shloshat l'mata. How do we know that the same isur punishment for the three generations above the wife is equal to the three generations below? Equated. Therefore, malamata shlosh derot, just like we are not allowed, a person is allowed to be with his wife's daughter, granddaughter, etc., three generations down. After mala shlosh derot above, as well as asur, including the grandmother-in-laws. Above, just like we have the punishment for both, the above and below, above three generations and below three generations. Regarding the warning as well, it's equated. Ravashi says, really, you don't have to change the Mishnah, you don't have to change anything. What does it mean below? Lamata isur. It means below it in regarding to the isur, in regarding to the how bad the isur is going to be. So therefore, how do we know that if you're with your grandmother-in-law, which is technically one removed from your mother-in-law, so therefore it's not as bad, if you will. Mother-in-law is very asur. Grandmother-in-law is one removed. How do you know that's still asur? That she's considered like the above, yani the one that's closer to the asur, which is the mother-in-law. Therefore, that's how he explains it. Where it says, "Yach, that's the case." So ima asura, if that's the case, that you have Gzera Shava that equates it, and you're saying that the wife's relatives or the grandmother-in-law is asur d'oraita. Afhu imam asura, so maybe also his mother, his grandmother should be asur d'oraita. We never have a source in the Torah that says you can't be with your grandmother, your actual grandmother. It's the drabanan. But if we're trying to say that your grandmother's asur d'oraita, so then for sure your own grandmother should be asur d'oraita. The only isur in the Torah says that she is your mother. You can't be with your own mother. You don't not have because of your grandmother. So we seemingly have an exclusion d'oraita for your grandmother. But Rambam says, Ben baha leman damar dun mina uminha, ben leman damar dun minha v'oki ba'atra lo atya. Now, there's a machlokes when you have Gzera Shava. You're comparing pasuk A to pasuk B based off the similar words or the same word. So how far can you take that? Do you take only what you have and apply, you take A to apply it to B exactly, or can you expound on it more? So machloket, one says yes, one says no. Is according to both opinions, lo atya, the isur of your own grandmother cannot be applied from this Gzera Shava. Meaning we can't learn from the grandmother-in-law. Both opinions. Why? The mandamad, according to me, says that you can take it and apply it even more. Mahi im imas, just like mahi im imasur, just like over there in regarding to his grandmother-in-law's asur. Afu name im imo asur. Maybe you should say that his grandma also asur. Uminan, you can learn from there. Mahi b'seifaf, he was not b'seifaf. It's just like his grandmother's-in-law is seifah, so his own grandmother should be in seifah. But the problem is, the man that seifah, but the problem is, according to the opinion, holds that seifah is more chamor. Ikal nefrach doesn't make sense. Malehi sheken imma b'seifah. If you want to say that the wife's relative shall get seifah, tomar behusha immo b'skila, you're going to give him serefa for being with his grandmother-in-law, but you'll give him serefa, you'll give him sekila for his own mother. And we're saying, and according to the opinion that it's serefa is more chamor, it doesn't add up. Why would you give him something more chamor for his grandmother-in-law versus his own mother? Another question, v'od, immo beskila, immo serefa. Why would you give him sekila for his mother and his grandmother with serefa? V'od, another question. Mahi lo just like over there by the wife's relatives, there's no difference between mother-in-law and grandmother-in-law, both are the same. So too regarding his own relatives, why is there should no be difference? There should be no difference between his mother and grandmother. No, they should both be the same. Why is his mother Sikila and grandmother Serifa? That's all according to the opinion that holds. You are able to connect Zerah Shavot and continue to learn, and according to the opinion that says Serifa is more chamor. According to Sikila is more chamor than the first two questions. The first two questions that asked how come his mother seemingly is more chamor, is less chamor than the grandmother-in-law or grandmother, which is Serifa versus Sikila. Those are questions don't apply, but that last question still applies. How come there's different? Why would there be different executions for his mother and grandmother? Okay, that's all according to that opinion. According to the opinion that holds that you learn from the Exar Shiva and you only stick it exactly like that, you can't do more. Mahi im asra, just like the wife's relatives, her grandmother's asur, her grandmother-in-law's asur. Afunami im asra, so too his grandmother should be asur. V'oki batran, you place it exactly as is. Hatam hu b'sreifa, just like by the grandmother's sreifa. Avahacha b'skila, but in his own grandmother, you only could do stoning because you can't transfer that over. According to the opinion that you don't transfer it over, and if that's the case, and if that's the case, then you can only get what he gets from the mother, which is sikila. And what's the problem? We have a problem with that. If you're saying that his wife, his mother-in-law is serefa, so why would it be sikila, which is less? Well, additional question: who kihi? You should say that it should be identical. Male husband to wife. How come? Just like his mother-in-law and grandmother, the same isur, same punishment of serefa. So how come his own mother and grandmother one would be sikila? Yeah, why would it be his own grandmother? They should also be serefa. Why would it be different? Why should his be sikila versus serefa? The Gemara says, "Laman damar sikila hamar konti ben hol sikilas chamor mehai kushal Then the first question of why is your mother's sikila, which is less than serefa, doesn't apply because sikila is more chamor according to second opinion. Regardless, Rava had just proved that there's no Gzera Shava to teach you that your own grandmother. So to you, either way, however way you learn Gzera Shava does not apply. We'll continue here tomorrow.